Saludos y bienvenidos to the PGP podcast. Oh my Lord. Dr. Moreno, number 50. Number 50. Did you ever think we are going to get here? 50? 50? Oh,
Never. I thought it was, and you know what? It seemed so quick. It was quick.
I just the other day I was interviewing you as the pre-show before we got to episode 1. Like, who's this lady? Why am I talking to this lady? And now you're in Rwanda, you're in Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, all the stands. I don't know. Hey, Josh Tovar, Pro Principal of Memorial Pathway Academy and Garland ID, Garland USA, ready to rock and roll on Easter. Yes, I'm time-stamping this podcast. I'm time-stamping because it doesn't matter. Number one, I like to give blessings to him for all that I have, all that he has given my family and everybody that's around me. I like to give him thanks for providing this show that builds on each other. Awesome leaders. And you know what? That's the whole thing. I wanted to make sure that episode 50 was a show with principles. No disrespect to soups, area soups, to APs, to our bus drivers, nothing. But you and I know one thing, Dr. Moreno. You and I know that the chair is a very lonely thing. And no one understands the chair until you sit in the chair. And everyone has an opinion about the chair and how they could do it better. But then when they get the chair, they're like, uy, qué calor, Dios mío. I need to lay some eggs like the bunny. I got to get out of here. And so it's one of those things. I needed to make sure that we're here together learning from each other. What are your thoughts there, Dr. Moreno, on episode 50? COVID flashbacks.
I know. I saw myself muted. I just couldn't find the mouse. That was the other problem. Josh, I'm super excited. It's episode 50. And you know what? I am so excited that, yes, you did crown the episode with the most special place in my heart is the principalship, right? The principalship was amazing. And I think you just saw my post not the other day, how I was saying how I miss it because it's so rewarding, but it's so challenging and it is very lonely. But you know what? The work that principals do is amazing. And so I'm just excited about the group of people that we have today because we have such a phenomenal group of principals today. So kudos to you, sir, for number 50. And I'm super excited to talk about, our with our wonderful guest today.
And you know what? The show has not slacked off because every single last one of these shows has had national speakers. It's covered the whole country, the whole world. We've gone to New Zealand, baby, to Trinidad and Tobago, to our cafeteria workers. This is not a niche podcast, and there's nothing wrong with that because I listen to those. I need to make sure I learn from that. But this is because education is such a big monster. And being the main chair, you got to learn from everything and always keep on improving. And I like to, before I send it over to our first guest, you know what? On Monday, I took my son to go see AC/DC. And I don't, I give the Chinchilagua moment to our the person that promotes their book. But I want to take a couple of minutes just to say this. You know what? I was seeing AC/DC in that ugly stadium in Dallas. Ugh. But I digress. And I was watching the lead singer, Brian Johnson, and I was watching Angus Young, the guitarist. You might know the niche, you might not know it. These guys are world known, world renowned, and they sold out that stadium. I was literally sitting in the last row, literally, of that stadium. That up there, my nose was kept bleeding. The higher I was walking up, and then my ear started bleeding. And those were $130 tickets. The last row. And this is what my point is real quick. That individual, both of them, were playing like they were 18-year-olds. They had the spirit of what they were doing. They enjoyed the love and the passion of bringing joys to others. And that's what Dave Burgess talks about in his book, And Teach Like a Pirate. You have to have joy in what you deliver in regards to content. And if you show the joy and the love and the compassion of your subject, your kids will pick up and embrace it. Because we've all had that. We've all had that one or two facilitator teachers that engages us with a passion when they present their lesson. And I was thinking of not only Dave Burgess at that moment, it's so true, because I was looking at Angus Young, and he was just jamming out. So I'd just like to throw this out on Easter Day. Hey, don't forget your passion. Because right now is the time when people forget their passion and their why. because everything starts to percolate. So shout out to those people that keep on going. And I just wanted to cite that example of these two 70-year-old men, 70. And they were running up and down the stage. Well, their version of running, but you know what? I'm sure it was running. And they sang for over 2 hours and they didn't slack off. They did not stop because they had passion for what they were doing. And just like Dave Burgess talks about in his book, keep on showing the passion. It's just a universal concept and theme. What do you think, Dr. Moreno?
You know, Josh, that is so true that we have to do that. And you're right. I mean, how long has AC/DC been playing? For
Woo!
years. For years, right? And the fact when they go on stage, it's like brand new and they're energized and they're focused and so you know what? I think it's a really good message to remind all of us that when we unplug on the weekends, do something, take care of yourself. We talk about take care of your shell, take care of yourself, take care of your body, make sure that you're fine. Because on Monday, you got to give your 110%. And so super excited. And you're absolutely right that we have to do that because kids can sense that. They know when you're fake. They do know.
Oh, they smell it.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about having passion, as we've done the last couple of shows, and I think, hey, if you're an author out there, I'll be calling you if I know about you. If I don't know about you and you want to promote a book, iron sharpens iron, baby. And if I've got a platform where you could send your message out there and show that passion, like Dave Burgess talks about, show that passion like Angus Young. Well, we got another passion educator that's going to come in real quick, 5-7 minutes, talk about her book, a past guest on the PGP podcast, Juanita, out of the 915 El Paso area. Juanita Gandara, talk to us about your brand new book. Go. Introduce yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Juanita Quiñones Gandara, and today they call me Zoila the Zebra. I tell everyone I'm living my second dream. Why is that? Because I love to promote family literacy. I love to promote a chain reaction of kindness, as well as telling everybody that they can be whatever they want to be. But today, I'm here to introduce to you my fourth book, and it's a self-published book. And it was done in 1 month with the help of my illustrator. And let me introduce it to you. It's called, let's see if you can see it, The Magical Journey of Little Raquel La Churros, the courage of a migrant child. And here she is. Oh my God, Raquel, you didn't tell everybody you were going to be on here. Well, she wanted to dance a song, but we're not going to let her. No, not today. Okay, because we need to tell them about your story, Raquel. Okay, so basically what I do is I go into the schools and I love to inspire young children as well as old. I tell everybody, you might be sitting there and you don't even know you're going to be an author unless I ask you 2 questions. But before I go into that, I'm going to stick to the magical journey and how it came about. Well, I had a girlfriend and she's about my age, actually like 3 or 4 years younger. And she says, Juanita, how come you don't write a book about me? And I said, a ver pues what do you want it to be about? He said, well, I was a migrant child just like you. You know, I came from Juarez and here to El Paso. The only difference was that I was in the 4th grade. And when I came over, they said all the boys and girls used to make fun of me, tease me, like bully me pretty much. And so, I told her that's something to think about. And so we brainstormed and basically that's what came out. It's about little Raquel. And basically she starts school at a new school for the first time in El Paso. And of course, all the boys and girls, I'm going to show you a few pictures. All the boys and girls start teasing her. But there she is getting off the bus. I don't know if you can see it. And she's all excited. And then they start teasing her. But then she remembers what her parents tell her. Sort of kind of like my first book. We had a lot in common where she doesn't stop. She perseveres because of her family's reminder of perseverance, their love for her, that hard work is important, education is important. So all those things are included in this book. And so here are some of the children making fun of her. She's trying to stay strong. And then guess what? She learns to win them over by letting them know that she's very proud of who she is, that she works hard and that she does her homework every night, regardless of what they say. So that's perseverance for you right there. And so her accent starts diminishing to the point that she gets so much confidence. She gets in front of the class and she introduces herself and talks about her heritage. And so then at the end, what happens is the children start accepting her because of her heritage. And so basically, when I go to the schools, I've only gone to one school because this book is only 2 weeks old. And so it's on Amazon now. But at the end, I tell the boys and girls, instead of making fun of a migrant child when they come into school, can you imagine being in their shoes? Can you imagine not learning how to speak a word of English? So help them. Please help them. Don't bully them. And so at the end, she wins them over and she pretty much teaches them about love of the family, that together they shine brighter. And there's even a song that I made that's called Shining Brighter Together. So basically, that's what it's about. And I went to Desert Hills Elementary here in El Paso, and they received it like you wouldn't believe. Like a lot of kids raised their hands when I asked them, how many of you are migrant children? And more than half. So that's my new passion. And it resonated with me because of my parents. I can't imagine my parents going through what migrant families are going through right now. And so I guess you can say I'm one of the lucky ones. So I'm here to promote that querer es poder, and it doesn't matter where you come from, and so puppets have always been my thing, and that's how I get the kids' attention.
Thank you, Juanita. Again, if people want to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you?
Go to zoilazebra.com.
zoilazebra.com. Reach out. And it's not only about the concept right now of bullying, which has been around since my time in the caveman era, but it's just about making sure being kind and taking that time to break it down, whether it be EBs. This is the same thing with SPED students. It doesn't matter what hey, how about the GT kids that are called nerds in year 2? No. You see, it's a universal thing that, these are the kind of educators. She was a counselor for years, and she brings to the table the wherewithal and the knowledge. So thank you very much, Juanita, for giving us some of your time. Reach out to her. Go to Amazon. Get those books going. Thank you, Juanita. Anything else?
No, just want to let you know that there's another book that's in the oven. And as a matter of fact, it is about children with disabilities. So stay tuned for that one, Josh.
Gotcha. There's a quick question for you, Zoila. Read it.
Yes, it's available online on Amazon. And there, yes, I work with all ELL students, migrant families, actually anybody in the elementary level, especially because I was the school counselor for 20 years in the elementary schools.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us, Juanita. Appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your Easter day with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And without further ado, our panel of awesome educators from across the United States, from top to bottom, all the way across, bringing in the knowledge, the facts, and the wisdom. But before we get into that, a big shout out to Constant. Thank you for being here. Sherrard on LinkedIn. Thank you. Shika, part of the Fantastic Four family. If you all know or you don't know, because sometimes you might not know, we are part of a 4 set of podcasts. We're with Fantastic Four with Coach Hurt, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Tammy and Shika, 10:30. Principal Cafele at 10:55. And we're the bookend. We are the fourth show, the PGP podcast. G for Ganas. Thank you all for being here. Shika, our sister, is here. Jose Torres joined us up earlier. Thank you for being here, giving out the shout outs. Dot, McKeever, Jeeber. Guess what, Dot? Last night I found the button and I could see all your comments. Thank you for being here. She is the grandmama of all 4 shows. Thank you, everybody. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our awesome panel of principals who know about 24/7. So I'd like to start off. And Cali, I'm going back to Cali. And I'm going to start off with Abe. Hey, can someone put us on mute? I'm hearing some feedback. Make sure that you're on mute. So, Abe, tell the audience where you're at. Let them know the roles that you serve, where you're at, the roles that you served, and out of all the roles that you served, which one was your favorite? Three parts. Where you at? Roles you've served, and which one's been your favorite? Go.
Perfect. Good evening, good people. Abe Rivera from Central California, Bakersfield to be exact. I've served in many capacities, obviously classroom teacher. Before that, I was a classroom aide, moved into admin with deanship, VP, and now currently principal. My favorite, I go back and forth, but right now it has to be principal. I love the opportunity to lead at that level. And while I look back fondly on every position that I've held, I'm really enjoying the principalship right now.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. Hey, if I'm going West Coast, hey, I don't want no East Coast, West Coast nonsense here. Let's go up to New Jersey. New Jersey. Talk to us, Mike.
Hey, Josh, great to be back. And congratulations to Juanita. I love that. I want to hear more about that book personally. So, but to stay on track here, I am in Central Jersey, right between Philly and New York. And it's called East Brunswick, which is near Rutgers University. And I have served as a special educator, an assistant principal, and a principal. And my favorite job is also as a principal. I'm currently a principal of an elementary school, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Love it, love it, love it. Let's go to the middle, right in the middle of USA, Kansas. Ready to go and rock and roll, Miss Stacy?
Hello, thanks for the invite. And yes, representing Midwest. Started out as an early childhood special educator, moved into the classroom as a first grade teacher, Title I, and now principal. And I'm going to go with they've all been amazing, but being where my feet are right now, and that's in the principalship. It's been by far one of my favorite and something I never imagined I'd be doing.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. And from the Sunshine State, down in the South, this guy, I've been waking up to him for a couple of months, listening to that podcast, Dr. Gastric Eric.
Hey, Josh, and everybody else. Glad to be here with you guys. As you mentioned, I'm down in South Florida. I'm specifically in West Palm Beach, Florida. I do work in Broward County, which is a little bit south of me, of us. I started out after the tech bubble. Came from engineering. Started out as a math teacher, high school math teacher. Did that for a couple of years and assistant principal at all the different levels. And now these past 10 years as a principal. The favorite job, I think it's principal, just because you're able to make a greater impact and really able to move at least your school building to the next level and make impact not only on students, but also on teachers and staff.
Thank you out there. We're ready. You got the experience. You got the country. You got that pulse, baby. On Easter, you got that pulse going. Dr. Moreno, stick. You got it.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. I love the fact we have such a wide, I mean, we cover the entire country from east to west to central. We have everything. So I'm super excited to hear what everybody has to say today, because we have such a great show today to have you guys on our panel. But before we get started on our questions specifically for the principalship, I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of our audience wants to know, what or who motivated you? We're going to start with Dr. Gastrid. Who or what motivated you to become an educator? Because everybody sounds so passionate about being that principal, right? But we all started somewhere, right? We started back in the classroom, and somebody or someone motivated you. Who or what was that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Originally, I didn't plan to be in K-12. Truth be told, I'm from the island, so I've always known, raised from the Caribbean. Parents always, push education. So I thought I was going to be engineering. Went to school, did study engineering, did that for a couple of years. While I was doing engineering and throughout college, being in South Florida, there's a lot of migrant. So in my local church, a buddy and I, we started an after school tutoring and summer tutoring to basically help the kids who are coming in, migrant who are coming in like me. At the age of 10, I made it here. So I would focus on math and science, and he did ELA reading. And so I did that in college and then started engineering. Tech bubble happened. And I said to myself, you know what, I'm just going to teach for a while I was doing my master's in computer engineering. Now, I need to say, I always thought I was going to teach college level because the goal was to get my master's in computer engineering and go back and get an MBA, be a level manager, and then go back and teach college level, never K-12. So I saw an ad in the local newspaper that they are looking for teachers. So I went in. Who knows? I got hired on the spot. I thought I was just going to do that for a couple of years while I continue my master's degree, took a pause to do that whole education out of field stuff. And then, a few years in, I'm like, I think I'm going to stay. And like they say, the rest is history. So I've been in K-12 all these years. So just love it, making an impact and touching lives each and every day.
And I'm sure kids had a lot to do with it, right? The fact that you
Absolutely.
turn on those light bulbs, it's like, oh my God, they get it. And it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling.
It's an awesome feeling to see kids. You get them in the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, they have grown so much. You've made an impact on their lives. So definitely was all about the kids.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Abe? Who or what motivated you to become an educator?
Oh, it was a serendipitous detour of sorts. So I actually had an older sibling, a sister, that always wanted to be a teacher. And of course, I wanted to either play for the Raiders or the Lakers. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And she actually got me a job as an activity leader, after school activity leader. And I just fell in love with it. So I would say my sister first and
That's
foremost.
close enough. That's
Yeah,
close enough to be Lakers, Yeah.
Exactly. And then of course I had a teacher that inspired me, my 5th grade teacher, my forever teacher, Miss Walsh. And I said, you know what, I think I can do this. I'd love to be that kind of teacher for students. So ultimately that's where I started in education.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you for sharing. How about you, Stacy? Who or what motivated you to become an educator, ma'am?
Growing up, I never wanted to be an educator, and yet I was around kids all the time as I go back. I was a babysitter, I was a Sunday school helper, I was a swimming pool manager and teacher. But it was actually during my sophomore year of college. I was a business major, and we had an evening presenter for the psychology class. It was Dr. Sharon Rosencutter, and she was speaking on the cutting edge of early childhood special education. At that time, I was working as a preschool aide in that my college community. And when I left that night, I went and made plans to change my major and switched everything over and managed to finish not only my elementary ed, but my early childhood special ed in the next 2 years with a powerful line of credit hours. But it was phenomenal, and I never want to turn back from that. And huge shout out. That's why I gave her name. She was incredible and a leading edge of early childhood special education across the nation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And last but not least, the New Jersey folk. How is it, Mike? Who or what motivated you to be an educator?
Yeah, and I think I guys. Ugh.
Okay, something wrong with your mic again.
Sorry, guys. I think I lost the connection for a minute there. Okay.
Log off and log on real quick.
Okay.
We'll wait for you. Jose Torres, thank you for following the YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Dr. Shika Houston, yes, when I said grandma, it was coming out of my mouth, but as it was leaving, I couldn't catch it. I tried to catch it. So no, not Grandma Dodd McGeever Cheever. I apologize. I really do apologize for that. All right. So Shika, she always calls me out. I love it because that's what brothers and sisters do. We call each other out.
I love the fact that she did, though. That just tells you how connected you guys are. We are family, right?
Yes.
Because families do that. Families, we'll call each other out and we don't hurt each other's feelings, right? Everybody's good. We're good.
And I think that's part of what the panel is here. It's always because, I've connected one way or the other with everybody that's been on the shows, is that they're real. They're organic. They're straight out individuals, just speak from the heart, and they'll show you, who they are. So it's a blessing to have them. Let me see if Mike is coming back. Where's Mike? Mike, I don't see you, Mike. Did I lose Mike? We lost Mike. Oh, no, New Jersey. Come on. Oh, Mike, I got you, Mike. I saw you.
All right, Mike. Yay.
Now you're on mute, Mike. Now you're on mute.
Hi, guys. Sorry about that. Am I coming through okay?
You're still broken.
You're broken.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm trying.
What if you shut off your video for a second? Maybe that'll help a little bit. Can you try talking now?
This is what we talk about organic, and there's nothing as a law. Dr. Gastrid Harrigan doesn't have laws in his podcast. We cannot have a law in my podcast, damn it. That does not happen on Easter. We will resurrect Mike in New Jersey. We're going to go on to the very next question on Resurrection Day. So let's start off there in Kansas. Stacy, let's peel back that onion a little bit. Esa cebolla, poquito para atrás. Hey, Stacy, tell the audience whatever you feel comfortable with. How were you as a student in high school? And how was your first year in the classroom? Inquiring minds want to know, young lady.
All right, we'll start off with high school. I'm that obedient first child girl. I had the brother rebel below me. So I was the studier, the constant chasing after that A, setting the example. I'm just that kid that's going to stay in line and stay in the path and do all those things. So I stick to that. I've gotten better. I've learned to let go of that perfection and to live life. And that might have happened in my first year in the classroom. Oh boy, if I could go back. But I remember that first year and I was ready to save the world. And I remember the families I was working with, building a program. I was the first early childhood special educator in our district. So I started off with a very small group of children, got to know those families really well. Still have those families. I'm still in the same district, actually. So gotten to know those families really well. But I leaned a lot on everybody around me and those people who had much more knowledge than I did, the occupational therapist, the physical therapist, the speech language pathologist, and learned and grew from each one of them. But yes, if I could go back, I've definitely some things I would do differently. But above all were those relationships. And I think that's something I still strive for today.
What a blessing. Thank you for sharing that. Out in Florida, talk to us.
Listen, I would love to say I was a great child. I gave a lot of problems. By the time I made it to high school, I settled down a bit, but I was the one who questioned everything, why it had to be a certain way. That sort of made its way into the classroom. I think from a positive way. You may have to ask my administrators why we do things the way we do, why we can't do things better. But again, for me, it was always about, and still as a principal, I hope my director's not listening. I'm always believing like, okay, why it has to be a certain way if we could get better outcome, why it has to remain the status quo. So to a certain extent, I've gotten better, but the rebel, the difficult child in me every so often come out. And I think also too, that has served me, I think, in creating better learning outcome for students, because then I get to ask and challenge the system and say why things are the way they are if they are not working for kids. Yes, they work for those kids when we made that rule, that policy way back, but now we have a different generation of students. It may not be working for them, and we need to adapt, shift to make sure we are meeting the students in front of us and not those we used to serve in the past.
How was that first year, sir? How was that first year in the classroom?
That first year was interesting. I give that credit to a mentor teacher, Mr. Paul. I think he's retiring this year or next year. I think he coached me to survive because my neighbor next to me got fired and I was going to get fired because I was ready to tell that district instructional coach, listen, you don't know what you're doing and it's not working for these kids. And he pulled me over and says, listen, this is how you do it. This is how you handle this. This is how you handle that. And I always give him credit for being here because I recognize that little side of me that tends to push the system a bit would have gotten me fired because my friend next door got fired. And so the first year was great, but it was a challenging year because I came in with the mindset, oh, I was an engineer, coding and all that stuff. So I'm coming in with all this knowledge. And it's not that the kids didn't want to receive it, is that I had to make it relevant. I had to connect with them. I had to build relationship before I try to give them knowledge in mathematics, obviously at the high school level. So, but it ended well, and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Callie, talk to me, Callie. How are you as a high school student, young man?
I think I rose to the expectations that were given to me. So if you had low expectations for me, unfortunately, I would match that. And if you had high expectations, I would also achieve that. So I look back at my high school career. I was thankful, though, that I had a mentor, a coach, essentially, that kind of guided me. As a first-year teacher, I was very fortunate in the sense that I had a group of students that was with the cohort of students were together for 2 years. Then they came to me. So in many ways, they taught me how to be a teacher. When you think about all the cues and the routines, they were kind of instilling those what they've learned from their previous teacher for me. And so it made the transition to teaching that much more easier. But I was really, really lucky that I had a good group of students that first year, because I don't know if I would have made it otherwise.
Thank you for sharing, Abe. And you know what? Our kids do help us. They know how to put us in our place when we need to be put in our place. Big shout out to Melissa Jones Jr. from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Proud Jaguar. Susan, thank you for being here. All right, Mike. Now you got 3 questions, sir. Your homework tripled. So, who motivated you to be an educator? How were you as a student in high school, and how was your first year in the classroom?
All right, so I apologize for earlier. I don't know what was going on, but I'm back.
We're good.
And to begin, who motivated me? I would say my mom and dad. My dad was a math and auto shop teacher, which is an interesting combination today, but that's what he did. And my mom was a school nurse. And I was a terrible student in high school. Matter of fact, I had an evaluation written of me, and I was described as hostile, impulsive, and below grade level. And that probably also motivated me as well, because my parents believed in me even when everyone else didn't, and I was against some odds. And I often talk about how that made me work harder. So that was definitely my motivation. I failed math twice in high school and I had to go to summer school. But I'm here and I get to tell that story to kids who struggle, that it's never too late. It's never too late. And I forget what the third one was.
How was your first year in the classroom?
Oh, I loved it. I was a special educator, ironically. And I dove in, I leaned into it. It was one of the biggest challenges of my life. It was hard. It was a struggle, and I loved every part of that productive struggle.
Beautiful. And that's why we have all these guests, Moreno, because they don't fake the funk, because no noses are growing. Stick. You got it, Moreno.
Mike, I love your story, because that's so much like mine. I was a bad kid. I remember I was a bad kid in high school.
We probably hung out.
I lived in the principal's office. I lived there. I mean, I was always in there. And it was funny because at my high school reunion, they said, "You're a principal." What? And I was like, yeah, I learned so much, visiting the principal, that I wanted to become a principal myself now, I guess.
Sometimes I forget which side of the desk to sit on, right?
Sometimes I kind of walk around. When I was a principal, I used to kind of walk in front of the desk and sit next to the kid, because I kind of felt like, I remember, man, I was in your chair.
Yep.
That's cool. Thank you so much.
Good connection.
So guys, let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we as educators face today, and that is teacher shortage, right? I mean, it's the reality. It's what we're facing today. So how are you addressing? We're going to start off with Abe. Abe, how are you addressing the teacher shortage, and how do you support those entering the teaching with an alt certification? They're not going through the traditional education path through college. So 2 questions: how are you dealing with teacher shortage, and then how are you addressing or supporting your teachers that are coming in through alt cert?
I think the first idea that we have to address as leads is to ensure that, we, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a reverence for what we do, right? What we do is critical to our society. And so we have to stress the importance of the charge that we are given as teachers or as educators. And hopefully we find the right individuals that embrace that role. The other idea that I'd like to just consistently remind myself about is ensuring the culture and the climate, so that way we can win the market, as Covey would say, right? If we want to recruit the best, we have to ensure that we are consistently cultivating a positive work environment that's going to pull people like magnets to our career choice. So that's one idea. In regards to the alternative path for recruiting educators, I think one piece that we have to really think about is building up capacity with our paraprofessionals, because in many instances they are working side by side, shoulder to shoulder with us, and these individuals are talented educators as well. So we have to continue to motivate them, build capacity, and inspire them to continue down the path, because we need them ultimately.
Thank you, Abe. And it's so important because culture matters. You
Yeah,
know,
for
you
sure.
can sense that. You can sense that when you walk into a school, you can tell really fast, right? How the school runs, what's going on when when the teacher or the principal is walking down the hallway. Do they greet the principal? Do they greet each other? All of that matters, and I think teachers want to be in a positive environment. And so thank you so much for sharing that, Abe. How about you, Mike? How are you dealing with the teacher shortage in
Yeah,
New Jersey?
absolutely. And this is definitely impacted in the area of special education teaching. You know, you gotta give a sales pitch, but that sales pitch has to be authentic. I really like what was mentioned previously by Abe, because this is the logic that we want to show them. The culture of our school is a warm, supportive environment that they'll be able to be among colleagues who they can trust, and the administration. So I think they need to see that. I remember when we were desperate to get jobs, and I would have taken anything anywhere, and somebody could have basically not been nice to me, and I would have just took it on the chin. That's not the way it is anymore. Teachers coming into the profession can pick their spot, and so they're almost interviewing us. I also don't interview traditionally at all. And by that, what I mean is I don't sit there with like the 8 or 10 questions and say, oh, next question. I want to know more about the person. I've gotten to the point in my career, I don't need to know that you can teach math. You're already here, so obviously you can teach math. What I want to know is, how are you with people? What are your hobbies? Do you have, goals? And you can hear that through their stories and the examples they give. So I'm digging into those things. My interview process is a little unconventional as a result.
That is awesome. And that's so true. That is so true. And I know principals that still do that. They still have those 8 questions and they ask those same questions all the way. I was like, oh my God, this is like 1930s. Why are we doing this? But yeah, you're absolutely right. And they have a choice. Like, there's so many openings that they can say, you know what? I didn't like the feeling, because I've been there. I would call them back up and they're like, well, I had this other opportunity over here and I really like the way, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, and back in the day, I remember before, when I was a young assistant principal, I was just happy to, just to get a job, right? Or to find somebody. So yeah, absolutely. Things have changed so drastically. Stacy, how about you? How are you dealing with the teacher shortage?
I'm going to take this answer two-pronged. The first one is, just this last Friday, I was in Topeka, Kansas, which is our capital, and I serve on a professional standards board. And that's where I'm first leaning into, is being able to represent principals across Kansas on that board, so that we can do a better job in Kansas of retaining teachers, engaging teachers, looking at licensure avenues, substitute criteria. So that's where my voice can be heard and I can represent others. Locally, I'm going to spotlight Kansas again. We're doing what's called a registered teacher apprenticeship program. And so right now we currently have 2. One's a paraprofessional, one's a teacher's aide, and they work full-time for us during the day. They're full-time students, but through that, their schooling is being paid for through grants, through several different opportunities our state has offered them. So for me to support them, it's that day-to-day. How are you doing with your classes? What can I do to support you? And one of my individuals has 3 little girls at home. What can I do to support her? So building those relationships with them and being sure that if in a given day they've got a paper coming up, or if they've got something they need to be working on, we find a place and space for them during that work day to take care of those things as well. But I think it's just growing our own right now. I'm in a very rural area. And like you said, we have the people that are coming to us are people that we need to retain and keep and be sure that we have a strong culture to continue sustaining them through what's a most passionate career, and being able to keep them here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing the apprenticeship program that you were talking about. I know Shika just mentioned that she also has that program over in her area. And last but not least, Gastrid, what about you? Teacher shortage, and what I didn't mention to everybody was the alternative certification. I think we're forgetting that question.
No, basically, I'm doing a little bit of what everybody just mentioned, which is, but the big thing lately that I've been focusing on is that our district do have a grow your own program. And one of the things that has worked, and as Abel mentioned, Mike and Stacy mentioned, really it's about that culture. So for me, I'm number one, I'm always recruiting, selling the school, and connecting why they should work at Millennium, highlighting those things. I think that becomes very important. So that way we create, because like I think Mike mentioned, they have choice. They can choose to work anywhere. Why would they want to come and work for me? And also for me, as part of that connection, interviewing process is getting to know them and what is it that they want to become, right? Because I know they have choice. So I center some of my questions around what is that you want to do? Is it the classroom? And if it is a classroom, how do we help you? How do I help you? By coming to work for me, how will I help you become that best teacher? If it is other career aspects. So that's one of the ways that I focus. Also, I open my school to make sure that the universities and the colleges near us have a place to send their pre-in-service teachers, because oftentimes some schools do not want to open their building because teachers don't want to open their classroom. And I have to several times I have to say to my staff, let's understand the Department of Education and those colleges, typically they're the smallest. And within the education department, education itself, right, going into the classroom typically is also the smallest. So opening our doors, and when they come, taking time to talk to them, taking time to make sure they have a good experience, reducing those barriers, those obstacles. So when it is time to decide to choose the school that they want to, I want them to choose us because of the investment in the relationship. Now, once we get them, making sure that we keep them. I often say, I don't know who I stole it from years ago, if you don't feed the teachers, they are going to eat the kids, right? And the reason being, for me, that resonates, it's all about what is it that how can we support teachers so that way they feel supported? I often like to say to my APs, don't tell me you're supporting the teacher. Does the teacher feel supported, right? What is it that they need? All right. And making sure we remove those obstacles and provide them with that support. I think somebody mentioned earlier, if they need to leave early, make sure we get them a coverage for them to be able to take care of their family, right? And whatever that they need. Now, we may not be able to do that every single day, but if we do that enough, it will create that environment of, hey, they support me, they support my family, they support where I'm at in my career, in my life. And so for me, it's all about that culture, and also consistently recruiting, opening our school doors to pre-in-service teachers to make sure that they have a place to come. And the hope and the goal is we've made enough enough relationship that they will choose my school because of all the different connections. Because at the end of the day, it's all about connection and support.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I know it was a Happy Show, or it was some other show that we did, Josh, where they talked about, we so often do exit interviews, and we want to talk to the teachers when they leaving. We need to make sure that we are interviewing the ones that want to stay, and why are they staying, so that we can continue to kind of grow them, right? If we're doing good things, then what are those things, so that we can kind of also make sure that we retain, and we're not having or creating our own turnovers, right? So awesome. Thank you so much. Those are all great insights on how we're dealing with teacher shortage. Josh.
So I hope you're taking notes, because the knowledge is being dropped. So we got some more. Hey, panel. Hey, shout out to Dr. Roz Gaskins. Going to reach out to you. Come and promote your PLC book. Make sure that you promote it here on part of the PGP podcast. Panel, we all have, I think we think alike. Obviously, we have different backgrounds and different ways to approach it, but we're always looking for success within the body, which is our campus. So for those people out there, we know that because of the exodus, people have been pushed to leadership roles that they're not ready for. Facts. And number two, we can't find focused educators because they're coming from the alt-cert. What I mean by focused, I'm saying they don't have the traditional background that the majority of us here do. They didn't go through the student teaching, the student observation hours, substituting. They just came from industry into the classroom like Dr. Moreno did. So my question to you is twofold, Mike. Okay, number one, and obviously you just drop what you feel is appropriate. Obviously, what do you expect leadership to look like from a classroom facilitator in your campus? Because everyone's a leader. Even the kid that misbehaves, he's a great leader.
Yes.
He's a great leader, let me tell you. And that kid that's valedictorian in your school, he or she, they're great leaders. So, but let's focus it right now to people that are coming into our industry. Mike, as a principal for a while now, author, and what do you expect leadership to look like for you and for an assistant principal? So obviously this is twofold. People that are coming in, or even currently right now, for the classroom facilitator, what do you expect for them to show their leadership like? And for your assistant principal, who wants that chair? Go, Mike.
Yeah, you have to be trusting. You have to be believable. There's so much in the world today that's both misinformation and inaccurate, and people think we're hiding things. And if we can be pretty candid with people within legal guidelines, obviously, we are able to build relationships that establish trust. And then you can start to say sometimes, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And here's why. And give them the courtesy of an explanation. They may not like that explanation, but people respect a yes or no answer rather than, I haven't gotten a response to that email in 2 weeks. What should I do? And it makes people nervous. They feel ignored, and there's nothing worse than being ignored. It's worse to be ignored than to hear no. And so there's these pieces. And then it's important for people to feel like you have an open exchange with them. And so that typically means going offline. I write a lot about how ineffective email and social media and the back and forth, and everything gets lost in context, and people think that you're just being nasty to them, and you're not. So I have a quick example. Recently we had a concern in the school, and a parent reached out to me, and I explained that I could only share so much, and that the rest, because of FERPA, prohibited me from disclosing further. And he basically wrote back and said, you're making it hard for me to trust you. I don't know what to expect. I'm worried. So then I stopped the email exchange at that point, and I picked up a phone and I talked to him on the phone. And I said, look, there are certain things I can't write in an email. I can say a little more on the phone. I can't, again, identify anyone or anything. And that went from distrust to respect. And I'm not looking for admiration, but if kids are going to win as a result of that, that's the kind of leadership your school wants.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that. Abe, Callie, talk to us.
I think the expectation should always be essentially holding everybody, even ourselves, accountable to the standard, right? So whatever the standard is that we define as a team, we should all be held accountable to that idea. So I expect my team members to hold me accountable to whatever standard we define. At my school, we're Harding Elementary, so we define it as the Harding way. What's the Harding way? And the Harding way should always be about kids first and foremost. So it doesn't matter the position. I always stress, what's the standard? Let's be accountable to the standard. Let's refine the standard. Always try to fight for, a better iteration of whatever we've defined. But ultimately, so long as we keep our students at the heart of our work and we're all accountable to that idea and mindset, I think we can move, a school forward, a community forward when we do that. So I think for me, it's always stressing the idea of what is the standard, define your standard, and be accountable to that as a team.
Most definitely. Gastric.
As Abe said, that it is about accountability. It is about building relationship. It is about making sure that the kids in our care are growing and making improvement. I often like to say all kids can learn, but they all learn at different paces, at different rate. And every tree don't grow the same way. They all move at their own time, time space. But what's important is that we are creating an environment that is conducive for growth of the student and growth of the adults. And that goes both with the accountability Ace mentioned, which is, yes, holding teachers and staff accountable. But I also believe in making sure that we remove those barriers, remove those obstacles, so that way they can make the impact that is possible in the classroom. And I often like to say, tell me what I need to give you, what barriers I need to remove, and then I'll get out your way to make sure, as a content expert, you are touching the lives in front of you, and knowing that each child need a different. I like to say each tree need a different number of sun, different number of ounces of water. So whatever each child need to be successful, having that flexibility. Or making them feel empowered to be able to make decisions in the best interest of kids, and that's important. Being accountable, but also being able to adjust and being empowered to do what is necessary to reach each child in that classroom, and I think that's important.
Most definitely, facts. Stacy, what does it look like?
I agree wholeheartedly with the three answers you've all provided, and I'm going to. Couple of quotes we talk about, but we live them. It's not just a quote, we live it. All kids are our kids. And regardless if they're in kindergarten or if they're in 8th grade in our building, they're our kids. And yes, they may have that teacher, but throughout the day, we interact with them, whether that be in the lunchroom, recess. We just have to really focus on them. And the other one is not doing what's easiest for adults, but what's best for kids. And sometimes that takes all of us out of our comfort zone. And that's the biggest thing, is we have to put ourselves aside and do what's most important for them. I want to share just a quick scenario. I have a young man this year, again, alternative route. He was set to go student teach in another school, and I'm without a PE teacher. And he came into us as a sponsored student teacher. So that meant he's student teaching and teaching full time. And I can't thank my staff enough, from the mentor he had, but every one of my teachers in my building knew how important he was to us and to our students, and for them to reach out, take care of him. They were truly living the example of the two quotes I shared earlier, is that they wanted to grow this young man into a teacher, whether he stayed with us or not. They wanted him to have him the best first year experience. And for them as leaders, because I go over that all the time. Yes, I am leading from this position, but every single one of you in this building are a leader. It's in a different capacity. It's in a different mantra, but you go out and be the best leader you can be. And I think by doing that day in and day out, that culture is going to help us retain the staff that we have and need to be the best educators for our children.
So true, especially that part. So true. De Costa Ajito, let us know where you're coming from, brother. Thank you for being here on LinkedIn. Jose, I hear that. I've heard that before, your message earlier. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it right there, but it's, you know what? If you've been around this job for a while, we know that there's some facts there. Nora Paul, Dr. Nora Paul was here last week, part of our Educating the Educators show. And I just like to, just what you just said right now about holding everyone accountable, that it's all our kids. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little soapbox real quick. Hey, assistant principal out there, if you're working in a big school or a little school with 2 APs, it's all our kids. One of the things that I disliked the most was when you're the only AP, tough, dude, deal with it. All right, you suck it up, buttercup. You know, you're alpha and omega, baby, because the principal, you got to let him go. And I've worked for that kind of individual, right? That's fine. It makes you learn more. The glass is half full. But let me tell you out there, if you work in a group of 2 or 3, make sure that you remember you're working in a group of 2 or 3. I disliked the most when I worked in a group of 5 or 6 assistant principals, that someone would come up to me and say, I did the discipline for your kid. No, baby. No, baby. Or you would hear one team member say about another team member, oh, I had to deal with your kid. No, baby. No, they're our kids. If they're wearing those colors and they're wearing that crest on that Letterman jacket, they're our kids. Oh, no, but we're the magnet. No, you're part of the campus. Your crest is not individual, because then you will be a charter school. We're all one color. We're all one crest. And there is no such thing as my kid or your kid. There's our kids. And our goal is to graduate them from pre-K all the way to high school. So if you're an assistant principal that likes to say, oh, I had to work with your kids, I'm sorry, you're in the wrong business. It's our kids, and we're all in it together, especially to that finish line that's coming around in a couple of weeks, which is called graduation day. Dr. Moreno.
Oh my goodness. Josh, I was getting goosebumps because I was thinking about that time when, oh my God, I remember I was an assistant principal and there was 6 of us. There was 6 APs. And they would say, you were at a doctor's appointment, so I took care of your kids. I was like, what? Or it's in your alpha. That's the other one, right? I was doing your alpha. And I was like, dude, like, they're a student that comes to school here, right? So it doesn't matter what alpha. They changed the alpha, right? They changed the name. Just joking. Okay, guys. You know what? I went to my old stomping grounds not too long ago. It was last week, Thursday. Anyways, and I was at the bank near my previous school, and one of the teacher or one of the employees there at Chase Bank says, "I know that voice. I know that voice." And turns around and says, ah, "Dr. Moreno, I can't believe you were my middle school principal." This is a kid who's like in his 30s already, right? So it was such a beautiful, and he told me, I can't remember if you can remember when I was in middle school and you were helping me go through high school applications and whatnot. Anyways, it was a great story. One of the greatest stories. It was a good time for me to hear this. The reason I say this story, you guys, is because I want you guys to tell the audience a success story, Stacy, a success story. And I know you have plenty of them, because as principals, that's what we do, right? We work and impact students' lives all the time. But can you tell me a success story while you were sitting as the principal? And I want you to also tell me about a time where you could have handled a situation differently.
The first one, I'm thinking of a young man who's now a junior in high school, and from kindergarten, and that's when I first became the principal. He was at that age, and from walking out with reams of paper in his book bag, pockets full of cars and other things, but just building that relationship with him. There was a reason behind all those things he was taking with him. And we may know that in the mental health side. I won't go into that. I'm from a small district, but I knew there was something more going on there than stealing. That wasn't what it was going on. There was something underlying. So building that relationship with him, and most importantly, with his single dad who was raising this young man and his sister. And today I love to watch him excel in high school, athletic, doing the things that he does, and just to keep an eye on him. And I told him, above all things, next year when he crosses that stage, I'll be there and I'll be the first one to cheer him on. So I consider that one of my big successes. And again, too, I think that next step is supporting that secondary principal and receiving him. I had built that relationship with him, but he needed that relationship at that next level as well. So making sure that receiving principal and counselor knew about him and the triumphs he'd made, and that, yes, there are going to be some missteps, and there have been, but that he continues on to grow. And you're going to have to help me with my second question. I'm so sorry.
No, that's not a problem. The second question is a situation that you maybe could have handled differently. So you don't have to go into details, just kind of surface level.
I'm going to go back to, I should have picked up the phone earlier. We talked about the email. You mentioned that, you can have that email exchange going back and forth. I think, Mike, you were the one that shared that. But at some point, you need to stop and pick up the phone. And I didn't do that as often as I should have early on in my career. And now that's something my staff hears all the time. A text is great. It's quick. An email is fine. But pick up that phone. There's so much that can be lost in communication that doesn't happen voice to voice. So again, I think I can think of a pretty major situation that could have been resolved much earlier with a phone call.
And I don't know, why is it principals sometimes fear? They fear the fact of picking up the phone and just kind of talking one-on-one with that person, right? It has a better, you're right. You have a lot of things that get lost in translation just through text, right? So yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. How about you, Mike? A success story, and also something that you could have handled differently.
Yeah. So actually, this was the if we get to this point, the email that I got from a parent. I had a kid who had ADHD, and he was really getting himself into a lot of trouble. And the mother called me around this time of the year, a couple of years ago, and said to me, "I've had it. Nobody cares about my kid. All he does is get discipline. Nobody's trying anything." And this was a large school that I was at a couple of years ago. There was 1,400 kids. So normally I wouldn't take such a direct, relationship on, but I decided to. And I said, you know what, let me see if I can help him, because she was demanding meetings with the superintendent and the whole 9 yards. And I set up a plan for him. It was called an observation It was a behavior checklist, which monitored how many times he was like off task or whatever. And then I had the teacher meet with him and say, hey, listen, do you know that you were off task 19 times this period? You were out of your seat. You were talking when you shouldn't have been. You were doing this, you were doing that. But here's the good news. We're going to set a goal for you to bring that down. Because I said to the teacher, do you want improvement or do you want, because you're not going to get perfection. So let's go for improvement. And he improved far better than I thought he would. And one day I brought him in just to keep him motivated and told him my story about those failures I had. And he couldn't believe it. He said, you? And I said, yeah, me. And I said, and why would I tell you that? And he said, because it just goes to show me that I can do this too. And he was a middle school kid, and he shined, and he's grown a lot since then, and he's doing real well in school. And I'm not saying I was like the magic elixir, but I think he just needed an adult in his corner that told him he could believe, that he believed in him, and that he could relate to him because he's been there himself. So you can do this if I could. I was in worse shape than you were. So that was a real success story. And then ironically, Stacy was reminding me of, gosh, how many times have I made the mistake of responding a second or a third time to an increasingly antagonistic email as far as the doing something differently. And I had a parent who was very politically slanted one way. It doesn't matter which way. And he started attacking me saying I was, not, I was too this or I was too that. And I'm not any of that, but it didn't matter. That was his perception. And finally, he mentioned something in about the 9th email when he was attacking me, really attacking me, about his wife going through some medical treatments. And I said to him, I hope your wife is going to be okay. And me and my family are going to pray for her. And then all of a sudden, the conversation completely shifted because all I did was make a couple of comments about how, gosh, I care about you and your family. And he saw me from a whole different light. And so it's that, way we interact that is a factor. And this digital communication thing is often a mess unless we handle it carefully or we pick up the phone, like Stacy said.
That is so true. I think I can probably reminisce just thinking back at my situations. You're right. Half the time we just need to pick up that phone and showing empathy towards either teachers or towards parents. Sometimes it kind of like gets them off the rail, because they didn't expect that from you, right? I have another really short story, right? But same thing. I had a parent who was just constantly calling the superintendent about everything that was the school was doing this and the school was doing that, and I was like, I don't even know who you are, lady. Why don't you come and visit me? Come see the principal. I don't even know who you are. So I invited her in, and guess what? I spoke to her. I wrote down notes. Her child had a speech impediment. And I said, you know what? Why? And if she spoke slowly, she would communicate better. So I had her do the morning announcements for me. I said, why don't you do the morning announcements? And that way you can kind of practice your speech. I needed my kids to speak slowly anyways, because I had a newcomer school. I was running 2 schools at one time. My newcomers needed a slower speech anyways. And so it kind of worked out. Of course, I didn't say that to the parent, of course. I just said, you know what? Why don't you do this? You know what? To this day, this is 7 years later, this woman is still calling me on my phone saying, thank you so much. You were the best principal ever. She graduates. This little girl graduates this year. And so she's inviting me to her graduation.
Right.
So isn't that so sweet? But
Dr. Moreno, real quick, I'm sorry. Apologize. That's very rude of me, disrespectful. I apologize on Easter, but gotta give a shout out to Jefe before he gets on that plane. Thank you for being here. We see your shout out, and we know you're gonna join us on Mama J Johnson. I'm gonna be on her podcast tomorrow. Hey, Joy, thank you for being here today. Thank you very much, Mama J, for being here. And Constant Sherrod. Hey, we got a listener from Ghana. That's where he's from. We'll call you for the next show. We got Ghana, New Zealand, Trinidad, Tobago, Canada. Hey, this show's all over. We are Pitbull. We are worldwide. Go, Dr. Moreno.
I thought I was talking about a story that wasn't relevant. I was like, he gave me the axe. He gave me the hook. Get off the stage, lady, and go ahead and ask Abe for his answer.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cute story, you guys. I'm so sorry. But no, anyways, Abe, how about your success story? I shared everybody with mine. So, Abe, what's your success story, sir?
You know, I'm struggling here, but I think ultimately I'm at a point in my career now where there's several either former students that are moving into education as teachers themselves. So when I come across those stories, it's just I'm elated, of course, you know, just to see that impact. Even though I had a small part, I still had a part. And then, of course, now as a veteran principal, I also had the opportunity to see, you know, people that maybe I supported in advancing their leadership. Now they're colleagues of mine, you know, so seeing those stories always reminds me about our impact and the work that we're doing. Ultimately, we're in the service industry and we're here to provide a service and support people. And so when people grow and into those leadership roles, I really appreciate seeing that. So I think that would be my success. And what was the second part of the question?
A time where you could have done something differently.
Yes, I think early on in my leadership journey, I would take everything on, and everything was and I think it was, how did they phrase this? Everything was a code 10. Everything, you know, how you addressed it when you initially started. And I'm trying to think of the young man that shared that with me. He's a famous educator too. I am so sorry. It's not my idea, but he said everything, you know, you addressed everything at the start as if it was the most pressing, you know, item on the agenda. Because I guess at the time you didn't know any better. And I think with time, you know better. You understand what needs to be given all of your, you know, your being, or what can we, you know, address in a different, you know, angle or a different manner, or even a different energy that would ultimately lead to a better result. So I think with experience, I think that is part of your growth as a leader that has to happen. And so to anybody and everybody that's watching, it definitely happens. For some of us, like myself, maybe it took a little longer, but ultimately we all get there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And Dr. Harrigan, last but not least, sir, your awesome success story.
You know, as I listen to everybody's story, it's amazing the impact we have. I recall doing my first principalship. I was a principal of an alternative school, that was 7 to 12. And I recall about my third year, we, as an alternative school, obviously we received students from half of the district. We are the second largest district in the state. And, you know, we get kids from all over with different challenges. And there was this particular young lady, I recall, she would cut herself, and she had a lot of challenges. And I remember having conversation with her, various conversations, share some of my personal stories, my personal struggles and how I got here. But we worked through her, you know, we worked with her through those different challenges, putting services in place for her. And eventually, you know, while we were a 7 to 12 grade school, we didn't graduate students. We like to say we bandage them, we get them better, and then we return them back to their home school or to a different setting. So, you know, she got better. We you know, she went back, we transitioned her to her home school. And so a few years later, about a year and a half later, I was I'm an adjunct professor. So I was in one of the libraries at the local college. I think I was on the second floor. I was walking up, and then I heard my name called, and I turned around and I looked, and there she was. And she's in college. She was telling me how, you know, we helped her while she was at the school, the support we put in place. She didn't think she would be a college student, and here she is now. I think that when we connected, she was entering her second year of college. So it's just amazing the lives that we touch as each one was sharing. You know, the impact we have on kids. The second part of the questions about what we could have done different. I think you're right. What we could have done different. I think of many things. All my colleagues said the phone call we should have made quicker instead of those back and forth email. But for me, early on I had my first year assistant principal. And to this day, I think my current mentor, Angela Brown, she's a director now at the district level, but she really helped me. I came in from the industry and I was really hard on people and in the name of accountability. But she really helped me to understand, you know, it's important about what you say. It's important about, it's sort of what Stacey earlier said, it's about the culture. It's about treating people well. And so I've often say I'm on this journey of working to develop my empathy muscle. So that way I connect with people, I create better environment for them, understanding, even if in sometimes And oftentimes staff don't think about that. We have to do our job and document people. But even before we get there, understand people's story and can we help support them before we get to that spot. So she really helped me understand empathy, connection. It's not about, it's about people, and it is a people's business, and making sure we keep things first. Yes, the kids, but also the staff.
People's business. I love it. And it's true. We are in the people's business. So awesome. Josh, take it away.
All right, we're about to close down this show and go to our lightning round questions. But real quick commercial break. Superintendent Glenn Robbins from New Jersey has 2 books out there. If y'all don't follow him on social media, this is his brand new book right here. And it talks about the dark side. Yes, Darth Vader. There's a lot. Hey, I don't mean to chase anyone away, but this does not fake the funk. It tells about how roadblocks are placed within our field. We know that. If you're sitting in the chair, you know those roadblocks that are placed before us. If you right now are finishing off your evaluations for whatever your state is, like we are in Texas, and you have a team member that requires specific support on discipline, Kevin Curtis gives you the 1, 2, 3 ABC on classroom campus discipline structures. It's so easy that even a caveman understands it right here. This caveman. And if you need some inspiration to finish the 4th quarter, Grow Your Why, 23 stories of educators on why they are in education. All right, guys. So let's finish up. Hey, and De Costa, I'm going to reach out to you for our 2nd international show so you could talk about education in Ghana. We want to know what's going on in Ghana, so we're going to reach out to you. All right, guys. Last 2 questions before we get into the lightning round. Let's start off with Stacy. Stacy, what troubles you at night about our field?
Locally, we have definitely some work to do on our student achievement. And that's the part that keeps me awake right now because that seems to be the focus of our community. And that's rightly so. But day in and day out, I see the work of my staff and I know that they're giving it their 110%. I know they're looking for ways to improve. So right now, that's what's keeping me awake is how do we get those scores to rise? And I know what that is. I wholeheartedly know that culture. I know the relationships. I know getting students what they need first and that those basic needs met. But that's the keeper at night because that's what my focus of my community is on.
If you're in the chair, she just spoke for hundreds of thousands of educators that sit in the chair right now because you don't want to be called to the conference room at Central. You know what I'm talking about? The conference room in the 2nd floor. You know which one I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Stacy, facts. Hey, audience, those of you listening, that's the same question to you guys. What troubles you at night about our field? How about in Florida? What troubles you at night, sir?
You know, for me, all that Stacy's is what's troubling me. But the top of my list is the devaluing, defunding, systematic defunding of our education and public education system because our most needy kids need support. They need the funding and the support to be able to be successful. So for me, it's always how do we maximize our current budget to make things happen and continue to move to an achievement while roadblocks are being put up, each and every day. So that's what keeps me up at night.
So true. I don't know about your state in Florida or Kansas or New Jersey or California, but in Texas, the majority of our districts are in deficits.
Yes.
One district that I came from had to release 300 team members. Could you imagine that? So yeah, that does trouble us here in education. Mm-hmm. How about New Jersey? What troubles you at night, sir?
Yeah, certainly I'm relating to everything, but if I had to pick another thing, it would be how politics has changed education. I've been an educator since the 1990s, and I feel as though there is all this push towards taking political standpoints. I don't think educational sanctuaries should be that. I think we should be places where where kids can talk about their feelings, and then we can facilitate that. But I think there's been too much of of a push by adults to push their agendas in schools, and I'm concerned about how that affects children.
Yeah.
Turn on the TV, and we're all affected by it, right? Don't matter what color of TV station you're looking at, we're all affected by it sitting in our chair. Facts. Callie, talk to us.
Yeah, I loved what everybody said thus far. If I would add something, it's the idea that, are we preparing our students for the reality that they're facing in the ever-evolving world that they're going to confront? And how can we ensure that the skills are being provided for our students to be successful and competitive in a world market? I think that's where I'm that definitely keeps me up at night is, are we truly giving our students an opportunity to thrive in this, the world picture, essentially, is where I sit at. So,
man, Abe, you're so right. I've been thinking about that lately. Back in the Stone Age, when I was in high school and we were moving our cars with our feet, they used to say, "What? Do you want to be flipping burgers for the rest of your life?" Sound familiar?
Yes.
Now we can't because AI robots will be flipping burgers. They're going to be flipping the burgers. Have you not walked into restaurants now that they're fully automated? Our kids won't be able to flip burgers anymore. That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's a scary thing out there. Dr. Moreno, stick.
AI is going to rule the world. Guys, this is our last question, and it's a super easy one. Super, super easy one. And I'm going to make sure that Gastrit, Dr. Gastrit is the first to answer this question because I know he has a powerful answer for me. So the question is, actually, it's a fill in the blank. Okay.
Oh, boy.
I know. Your eyes just opened up. I saw that because I knew I was going to get that reaction from you, sir. So that's why I'm going to start off with you. So it's a fill in the blank. So it says, I wish I knew blank about the principalship.
I wish I knew that I would be getting shot at from every angle before I made it to the seat.
True that. Awesome. How about you, Mike? What's your blank? I wish I knew blank about the principalship.
I wish I knew that the small percentage of teachers that cost me the most amount of time to help improve.
I'm just laughing because I remember all of that. Abe, how about you? The question, I wish I knew blank about the principalship.
I wish I wish I knew how rewarding it is still. Even as challenging as it is, it's still very much a profession that I thoroughly enjoy. And we're on break and we're about to rejoin our team, and I'm excited because it's very rewarding. So I wish I knew how rewarding it truly is, this opportunity that we have for leadership.
Awesome. And you're going to be even more rewarded when you see all these kids 30, 40 years later, right?
For sure.
And they see you down the hallway and looking at your worst sometimes, right? Because you're at, your local store there and they remember you. How about you, Stacy? I wish I knew blank about the principalship.
I'm going to go back to that question I asked earlier about my first year. And I think about that care level I had for my students and my coworkers, and that through the principalship, how much more that's intensified and maximized with the number of students I have and the number of staff, and that caring level has just like popped off the top, that I am there and building those relationships because they're the ones touching those lives daily.
Absolutely. I think we are ready for the lightning round. Ghana's question, sir. Go for it.
And that's why, before we get into the lightning round, that's why it's a lonely chair.
It is.
Because no one takes in the pressure of that parent, those athletic parents, those cheer parents, those cheerleaders, those athletes, central office, the board members, the restaurants around your campus, all of that. And I could keep on going, right? Facts. I could keep on going. That is carried by that chair. Oh, but I have assistant principals. No, you're not going to tell them. You can't tell them everything.
Yeah.
Because there's certain conversations that are only between you and I in the conference room. Facts. So that's exactly why it's such a lonely chair. So please, it's coming up, and I'm not going to have another principal roundtable for a while. It's almost May 1st, National Principals Month. Make sure that you reach out because you have no idea. Oh, but you decided to be there. Yes, facts. We interviewed it, and we wish for the second round to be the principal. But just understand, it's not easy. And for you, our superintendent in Garland says this: the best gift I can give a campus and those students is a great principal. And right now on this call, you've got great principals. So keep that in the back of your mind. So here we go. Lightning round, Ghana's questions. Mike, I don't know if you've heard about this in New Jersey, but you know what? Ganas is an international word. Gastrid, do you know about Ganas? Have you heard about that? I don't know. Look at that face. Yeah, you do. I don't know if you know. Kansas, do you guys know about Ganas there in Kansas? That's fine. That's a whole purpose. That's the whole thing of the PGP podcast. You see, you guys need to understand. I know, Abe, you better know. You see, Ganas is an international word. It is said by El Salvadoreños, Nicaraguenses, Costa Ricanos, Puerto Ricanos, Cubanos. It says by everybody out there that is in the Hispanic culture. And it's one word that's spiritual, that's said from great-grandmother to daughter to grandchild. It is yelled out through whatever event in life it might be. Échale ganas, mija. Échale ganas. And there is no equate. There is no equate to ganas. Oh, yes, there is. It's grit. No, it's not. Grit is not the same because this is an international word. And it doesn't matter which part of Central, South, the Caribbean islands you are, ganas is a crucial spiritual word. So when you hear that, know that it's upon generation saying that. So when you answer these questions, Stacy, and I'm starting off with you, yo quiero ganas, yo quiero duro, and it's a lightning round. Don't make me go, that's too long. The only one you have a chance to say a little bit longer is number 2. And to everybody out there, I don't give them the questions. I don't set up. There's no dog and pony show here. What comes from the heart is organic, comes from the heart, except for these lightning round questions right here, right? So we're starting off in Kansas, the Midwest, the beautiful center of this glorious melting pot known as the United States. Stacy, here we go. Give advice to new teacher.
Start simple, stay consistent, relationships first.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspires you.
Thank you for amazing, strong leadership. You are a generous, loving leader and role model for anyone who enters our building. Your light for Christ is a beacon to many. Thank you for all your help, support, and love. I appreciate all you do for me and for our kids. From a
Eso me gusta. Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Kelly Whitaker, principal of Ottawa High School.
Beautiful. Who should people follow on social media?
Zach Bowermaster.
Facts. What's one song that embodies you, your spirit as a person?
Be All Right.
By?
Be All Right by Danny Goki and Kraft.
All right. Well, what's your favorite quote?
Find joy in the journey.
What is your favorite cheat food, ma'am, or sweet?
Reese's, peanut butter cups, peanut butter eggs, peanut butter pumpkins.
Hint for May the 1st. She likes peanut butter and chocolate, Kansas. All right. What is your favorite TV show or book?
I'm going to go with Dare to Lead by Brene Brown.
Love it. How can people get a hold of your awesomeness, young lady? How can they reach out and connect?
On X, it's at USD271SGS.
Love it. En California, con mi carnal, el Abe. Hey, bro, represent. Here we go. Give some advice to a new teacher.
Be kind to yourself.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
Abe, thank you for all your support, your guidance, your role model. You are an inspiration, and I truly appreciate you.
Eso. Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
I'm going to go with my assistant principal, Kara Hall-Salter.
Awesome. High five to her. Name one person people should follow on social media.
My superintendent, Mr. Mark Lukey.
There we go. Make sure you follow that cat right there. What's one song that embodies you as a person?
I would have to go with the famous poet, Common. He has a song called "Be," really aspirational and inspirational.
All right, there. What's your favorite quote?
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
What is your favorite cheat food, sir, or sweet?
Oh, it's pizza. That's easy.
Perfect. What's your favorite TV show or book?
TV show, I'd go with The Wire. HBO, love that show. It's my favorite show.
How can people reach out to you there in Bear Country?
You can reach out to me Twitter, Abe Rivera EDU.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Out in New Jersey, give advice to a new teacher.
Sit with the winners. The conversation's different.
Facts. Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or a student who inspired you.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the incredible support you've given my son this year. As a child with ADHD, he's faced more than his share of challenges, but under your guidance, he's grown in ways I never imagined possible. You not only helped him succeed academically, you helped him believe in himself.
Nice. Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Ariella Fakiti, my teacher of the year.
Nice. Who should people follow on social media? One person?
Adam Grant, he's the author of Think Again.
What's one song, una canción that embodies you as a person?
So I'm from Philadelphia, the Rocky theme.
What's your favorite quote?
Fall 9 times, get up 10.
Facts. What's your favorite cheat food or sweet?
Butterscotch peanut butter.
Okay.
You had to think about that one.
Yeah. I forgot about butterscotch.
It's a Jersey thing.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for stopping the lightning round. Here we go. What's your favorite TV show or book?
The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler.
All right. And tell them about your book.
Yeah, I got a couple books. Radical Principles came out a couple years ago. I had a lot of fun writing that one. It's all about working around bureaucracy and leading schools through trauma, which I wrote during the pandemic. Perfect timing. Thanks. And
your
sorry,
pod, right?
What's that?
You still do your podcast?
I haven't done it recently. I've been writing a lot more at Smart Brief. If you subscribe to ASCD Smart Brief, you'll see my articles pop up. I have a monthly column.
And if people want to get a hold of those books or pick into that brain, how can they get a hold of you?
Gaskell M. Gaskell on X.
All right. And we are finishing in Florida. Here we go. Give advice to a new teacher.
Relationship over rules.
Say it again.
Relationship over rules.
Perfect. Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
Thank you for being a great leader and for pushing me to become a better leader.
Love it. Send some flowers to a current educator who inspires you.
Ooh. Dr. Miller, for her tenacity, her passion, and her desire to continue to grow.
Perfect. Name one person people should follow on social media.
Principal Kefeli.
Yes, sir. El Jefe. What's one song that embodies you, your spirit?
I don't have one, but be all you can be.
All right. What's your favorite quote?
Feed the teachers or they will eat the kids.
All right. What's your favorite cheat food? Don't say kids. What's your favorite cheat food or sweet?
Cookies. Anything that's cookies, I'll go for it.
Cookie Monster.
What's your favorite TV show or book?
Leaders Eat Last.
Agreed. And how can people tell them about your podcast?
My podcast is the School Leaders Podcast, and you could find me on X at Dr. G Harrigan. Same thing with Instagram. Same thing, Dr. G Harrigan, and on Facebook, Twitter, it's Gashard Harrigan.
I listen to a lot of his shows. He wakes me up early at 4 a.m. A lot of knowledge being dropped, and we need to make sure we always learn from this panel. Panel, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for bringing your knowledge, your wisdom to the whole country. Hold on, the whole world. We're in Ghana right now, baby. So it's very important that you know the influence that you have. Not only that kid, as you greet him or her walking into the schoolhouse tomorrow, but an individual from Ghana, an individual from New Zealand, an individual from Canada, wherever they might be in the United States. You make a difference because we're in the best profession, the profession that creates all the other professions, public education. Don't forget about that. I know it's troubling times because we're at the end of the school year. We are right now in the middle of assessment season that has us all like this. It has us all like this, but it doesn't matter because you know what? As long as we do right by kids, you know, you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I did my job. I did my job. And if I didn't do it, I'm going to learn from somebody else. And that's what this is for. This is free PD for you. You don't have to get a PO. You don't need to get it signed by your principal and their area superintendent because there's no money. So go for the free PD, listen to podcasts, get some books online, and you're there because you know what? Iron sharpens iron. Thank you for being here. Like it and share it. If you want to be part of this panel, reach out to Dr. Moreno, to me. Thank you for being here. Panel, say goodbye. Happy Easter.
Happy
Bye, guys.
Easter.
Happy
Don't
Easter.
log off.
Yes, thank you for turning on.
Awesome. Don't log off. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the kudos. See you next Sunday for our teacher round table number 4. Educators.